straight people who dated/married a closeted gay person. How did you find out they were gay? When we were 17, my best friend, I'm a straight female and he's a gay male, met the hottest guy at a party and struck up a friendship. Numbers were exchanged, MySpace friends were added, etc etc. Before long, both my friend and I developed a big ol' mutual crush. Hot guy was straight, so soon enough I made a move and we started dating. My friend was happy for me, no jealousy at all, but he'd still often joke that one day my boyfriend would turn and confess his love to him instead. It took 2 months. My first so came out to me during our relationship freshman year, crying and confused because I don't know how I can love you so much and still feel this way. It was a hard convo, but in the end we both loved each other a lot, so being bent out of shape over the relationship wasn't more important than our friendship and helping them feel comfortable with themselves 8 years later, and they are still my very best friend. That's hard but beautiful. Congrats to you both for being honest with each other and loving each other. My friend could have written this, except he wouldn't use the word freshman and they're at 9 years. Currently housemates, and while he's never been anything but fiercely supportive and immensely respectful, I get the feeling he was still kinda hung up on her for a long time. Just never found anyone else he could trust. He's only just started getting back into dating in the past year or so. My mom's first marriage was to a gay man. She found out because she caught him cheating while she was away at her grandmother's funeral. They remained friends afterwards until he died in the first waves of the HIV epidemic. She sometimes remarked that, although finding out really broke her heart, she thinks they married out of college so they could move away from their parents, and that it felt safe to be with him because he didn't pressure her for anything. Fast forward a couple decades, another marriage, the baby she always wanted, and another death. In retrospect, my father was probably asexual, but they had a loving, companionate marriage and provided a stable home for me that I was very fortunate to have. After he died, she moved across the country in her 60s, came out as gay, and is now married to a woman. I had dated a guy for about 4 months. I caught him taking Viagra. He didn't come up with a lie. He just broke down and confessed. I guess his family was concerned that he might have been gay because he never really brought a girl around them. And he figured, since they liked me, dating me would get them off his back. He worked up the courage to tell his family and they didn't receive it well, so they cut him off. He's currently happily married, so at least he got that. When we were kids, my friend got mocked about being gay all the time. It eventually stopped as we got to high school. My first boyfriend was a year older than me, and I was still in high school when he went to uni, so we couldn't see each other all the time because of a 300+ kilometer distance, and we didn't really know what the other one was up to. So, at the time, my friend broke down and told me that he was in fact at lesbian, and the whole friend group was supportive. We were joking, and he downloaded Grindr. He and my BF ended up matching there. My BF sent him dick pics. Turns out he had a really sexually active life on uni. Another not me but my friend. My friend was dating a guy in college, and it didn't work out. A decade later she bumps into him on a commuter train and they get to talking. He had a wife and kids. She'd always thought they'd broken up because he was gay and in the closet, and assuming she'd been wrong, she shared this humorous anecdote with him while they talked. Next time she bumped into him, he'd acknowledged his sexuality and filed for divorce. As much as I feel for the wife and kids in that situation, the guy living his life in the closet when he doesn't need to hide from gay bashing where he lives is just unnecessarily sad. I'm sure some people still hide their homosexuality here, but it's nothing like when I was a kid and being gay or lesbian was just something that didn't happen. I mean, there were 0 homosexuals in my high school, and that is just not statistically credible. A few percent of that student body was putting on a performance to avoid the repercussions of existing. I'm not gay, but I was a nerd at the bottom of the pecking order. I had bullies. I had few friends. I have some idea between my experience, my education, and my imagination what it might have been like for those people, and social torture doesn't seem like too awful a phrase for it. I don't even know how a closeted homosexual could have a spouse of another gender. As a straight man, if I were in some society where everyone wanted you to be gay, I can't imagine sucking dick nightly and cuddling with some dude on the couch after work every day to show off. It's gotta be rough maintaining that. There's plenty of straight couples that don't ever cuddle or have sex more than a few times in their entire marriage. It sounds awful, but totally doable to fake that lifestyle if you're gay and fear the repercussions of your local society. We met at church in the 5th grade. In the 7th grade we dated for 1 week, and one night he called me and said he wasn't right in the eyes of God. I was like, what are you talking about? And he told me he was gay. We've been best friends for over 10 years since. He tried to seduce my best friend, a gay man. My fiancé still wanted to marry me to keep up appearances with his homophobic family and maintain a relationship with my bestie on the side. Bestie told me everything 25 years later. Ex-fiancé is married to my bestie's husband's ex-husband. Small world. Not me but a friend story. My best friend is in 10-year-long relationship and the guy never proposed even knowing she wants that and babies. She does not believe he is gay. The reason I know he is at least bisexual is BC I'm friends with a gay couple and another gay guy that are a lot into partying and mostly go to gay clubs. They have seen him there alone several times and have hooked up with a friend of my friends a few times. These guys are also her friends and have tell her, but she is in denial and says he only goes there to support his very openly gay friend going to gay clubs. They have spent at least 1 year without having sex and she still believes his lies. He only sticks around her BC his family is extremely crazy and homophobic. I think she will only believe if she actually catches him having sex with a guy. She used to be an amazing look girl, but he has broken her spirit. Me and the gay couple have tried to take her out of their house several times. Every time they see him at the club they text her to let her know. All of the people in our friend group knows about it. There are also other problems with the guy but we, friends, are desperate to help, but she refuses to believe he is using her to look good in his parents' eyes. This kind of thing is so shitty. I hate when one partner has clear goals, like marriage and family, that the other clearly doesn't share, but they go along just enough to keep the relationship going. They are getting what they want, regular sex, appeasing their family, whatever, but they are actively blocking their partner from getting what they want. It's such an asshole move. If he is never going to give her the future she wants then he should at least free her to look for someone that actually could give it to her. And if you think she should know better, well, think how hard it would be to admit to yourself you've just wasted 10 years on a dead-end relationship. Having to start over. I've seen this with a straight couple, and when she finally gave up it made her so bitter. Hard to blame her, really, with him dangling this dream of a happy family-like date, knowing she would never get it. I would have a hard time being friends with someone like this. I dated a B-girl in my youth. We were both in our early 20s. It became very clear after a week that she was not into dicks. It was like she wanted nothing to do with it other than penetration. She dated one more dude after me and has been with the same woman for over 15 years now. They are married and very happy. We are still friends, and she has admitted to me that the dating guys thing was a phase and just experimenting. Not me but my friend. He just ghosted her. Stopped responding to texts or calls. I was shifting for work in the same state he was and messaged him to meet me. Surprisingly he was answered my calls, knowing I'm her best friend. We met. I just told him to talk to her once because she doesn't even know what happened. He still just gave her a cowardly no reason breakup after I had to push him to just talk to her once, so she has some sort of closure. 2 years later he messaged her happy birthday then told her he is gay. That's why he broke up. He has another girlfriend so don't know if it's true, but I don't think he had any reason to lie after no contact of 2 years. But hope he comes to terms with his sexuality soon. I dated a guy in high school for about a month. The day we started dating he gave me a long speech about how I might hear from other people that he's gay, but he's not. He is just good friends with gay people and he gets made fun of before that. I was outraged and totally believed him. Then one day I got a Facebook message from a friend of a friend who said he had just found out that this guy and I were dating. Turns out he had been sleeping with my boyfriend for a couple of months now. That whole story from the first night was just his cover for why people said he was gay. Now, several years later, he's married to a straight girl and has 2 kids. The first girl I ever dated always resisted making our relationship official because she said someone had hurt her previously. She and her best friend, who introduced me to Orange, is the new black, always used to joke about what if you found out we hooked up like the girls in Orange is the new black, etc. Eventually she simply told me that the jokes were true and we parted ways. I should been more suspicious when she chose to spend prom night sleeping at her friend's house instead of mine, but I was just happy to have a girl pay some attention to me. I was the in denial lesbian dating a straight man. All the signs were there right from the start. No prior boyfriends even at 20y/show. Completely shut down during physical intimacy. Got weirdly enthusiastic about scantily clad ladies in games we played together. Looking at you, Smite. But he never caught on to those, as far as I could tell. Even I was mostly oblivious to it. Instead, the thing that made him confront me was when I had been getting really into the Elder Scrolls games and drawing/writing gay pairings for it almost exclusively. He messaged me one day saying, almost verbatim, "Hey, you've been drawing a lot of gay stuff lately. Are we still cool?" Spoiler alert, we were not cool. Can I get a not straight, but or not gay, but I dated the most masculine guy I had ever met. He was huge and tall, a tank. People that didn't know him were scared of him, and he wanted it to be that way. If you lived around the 518 a few years ago, you've probably seen him on the news. Before, during, and after we dated, he had severe anger issues. Impatient kind of anger issues. I'd spent night after night, for years, talking him down from hurting themselves or someone else. The final time they were at the hospital, when they got out, they cried and said, "I think I'm non-binary." Immediately things got a little bit better. And then she said she was a woman. In a non-selfish way, it was kind of a hit to the gut. I felt like I was losing the person I loved, but I believed her. So we worked it out, and it was hard at first, because I had to act like nothing was different 100% of the time, which eventually took its toll. She watched makeup tutorials. I bought her her first dress, and went with her the first time she wore it in public. I tried learning how to do her hair. She was also black, and truthfully, I'd never tried to do 4C hair before. But we learned some hairstyles together as she grew hers out. I stayed for another yearish after she came out. Her anger issues literally dissolved, apart from dysphoria here and there. I haven't seen her in about 2 years, but when we stopped contacting one another, she was publishing poetry. I think she's doing pretty well now, happiness-wise. Edit, called her hair a bomb, lol. So, I'm the reverse of this. Actually, I'm a lesbian, and was in a relationship with another girl. We were together for 2 years. I proposed to her, and she broke down in tears that I thought were happy, but then she whispered, "I think I'm straight." We separated, but are still close friends to this day. I wish we'd gotten married, but I wouldn't want our marriage to cost her her happiness. Actually me, got married super young, 18, and don't recommend it. 2 years into our marriage she came out as bi. Of course I accepted her, but it was hard knowing there's a part of her sexuality she didn't get to explore, and I couldn't fulfill. A year later we were at a gay pride event and it suddenly hit me. She was wondering what it would be like to be gay. I told her that night I knew she was questioning her sexuality again, and I would support her whichever she decided, but I hoped it would land in my favor. She said I was wrong, and I said maybe. Couple months later she admitted that she was gay. I cried, she cried, we had sex right there on the floor where we were sitting. It was a very confusing time. We spent a few weeks apart trying to figure out what to do with ourselves. Finally we came back together, and I said that I had meant it when I said for better or worse, so if she wanted to stay together I was willing to figure it out. She said she wasn't willing to put me through that, and she wanted to separate. Honestly, I blew a sigh of relief. We stayed in touch for a while, but eventually the time between conversations grew longer and longer. She's only called once since she remarried a few years ago. I've been with my new wife for over 10 years. If given the chance I don't think I would change anything, especially if it meant I would put the life I have now at risk. I have absolutely no ill will toward later my ex. We honestly and sincerely loved each other and were doing the best we could. No harm meant. For what it's worth, I went to a single group session for straight spouses. It was divided half and half of those who were accepting of their gay spouse and those who felt nothing but resentment. I asked for people to give their thoughts on whether being gay was innate or a choice. Those coping well saw it correctly as innate, and those with resentment saw it as a choice. Decided not to go back as it seemed like the two sides couldn't actually help each other. Too bad. Though the couple running it was a married couple who both had gay spouses originally, so I thought that was cute. Funny story actually, my wife and I, male, are both gay. We both grew up in very fundamentalist conservative Christian households. I denied to myself that I was gay my entire life, though she was a semi-outed lesbian in high school. Then she came to Jesus late in high school and became straight again. We met in college as both very conservative Christians who were both telling ourselves that we were straight. We fell in love and got married as a hetero couple. About a year and a half and we started admitting to ourselves and each other that we were gay, since we were so close emotionally that we were comfortable coming out to each other. For me, it was the first time I admitted to myself that I was gay. Fortunately, we still work really well together sexually, and I wouldn't change a thing about our relationship. We have been married just over 2 years and feel authentic with ourselves and each other for the first time ever. Suspected it slightly when we were together, ended up getting back together with him 2 years later for a brief fling. 6 months after that I got a text from him giving me a heads up that he was gay. He was about to come out on social media and didn't want me to be blindsided. Had to break it to him that it wasn't really a surprise. Thank you for the upvotes everyone. If anyone was curious, he and I are still very good friends to this day and there are absolutely no hard feelings on either side. My parents were married for 23 years when he finally came out. Turns out my mom had known for 7 years at that point because she found gay porn on the computer. She had confronted me about doing weird things on the computer at the time. I was 13 and a female and had no idea what she was talking about, so she put the pieces together. I remember the day she confronted him about it. I was 16 and super high and thought they were fighting about me being high. Anyway, 10 years later they are now both happily married to new men. The end. Thanks for watching.